Hi there. I want to talk to you about the fiduciary duty of loyalty and confidentiality and obedience. So there is, from a fiduciary standpoint, when you hire a realtor, it's very similar to an attorney. You've heard us talk about this probably in some of our other videos because it's really the number one job of a realtor is to have fiduciary duty to their client, which is confidentiality. That is forever. What you tell us stays in the vault forever, unless it is material to the transaction. So there's that confidentiality. Obedience, like that means if you tell me to run down and get you a pizza, that's not going to happen. But if you say, I want to take this offer, my job is to skillfully guide you based on my experience and my knowledge of Arizona real estate. That's it. So if I say, hey, I've gone down this road before and this is what happened, this is how it turned out, or I see this path leading here, I will guide you on those things so that you can make an informed decision. Because I do this day in and day out. I've sold hundreds of homes. I have been around I've been in formal real estate as a licensed real estate agent for 19 years, but I've been in real estate, much longer than that. So we're going to give you guidance. But if you say, well, I don't want to do path A or B, I want to do path C. At the end of the day, you're the boss. You're the hero in the story. You're the one that's packing the boxes, writing the big checks. You're the one that's moving, and you have the stress of that move, right? So if you decide to go another direction, we have to be obedient to that. There's some exceptions. So I had somebody this week tell me, we had their home under contract previously, and they found termites in a couple of their outbuildings, and their outbuildings aren't that far from their house. And she said, that's ridiculous. I don't want you to disclose that. Don't you tell anybody about those termites. Well, that's not going to happen because one of our fiduciary duties is disclosure. As a seller, you have an obligation to disclose. As realtors, we have an obligation to disclose anything that we know that is material, meaning it could affect your decision to buy that house, or it's going to cost you money somewhere down the road, right? And getting termites treated is something that a buyer needs to be aware of. We're not going to not tell you that there's termites. And as much as I want to be obedient to that seller, that isn't something that I'm willing to do because it opens me up to a lawsuit. It opens her up to a lawsuit. And I wouldn't be doing my fiduciary duty to her if I didn't disclose that. So if a seller knows something about the property, they have an obligation to disclose. I'll give you another one. We had a seller where they had a big shop, and it turned out the shop wasn't permitted. And she said, well, it wasn't a big deal when I bought it. Nobody told me it wasn't permitted. I don't care. It's been there for 20 years. Nobody cares. And I said, well, that may be true. All of that is true. I'm certainly not, arguing that. But you still have an obligation to disclose it to the new buyer because you found out it is not permitted. And you have that information. You have to disclose it. If you don't disclose it, this is what can happen. Number one, you're in a lawsuit for non-disclosure. Number two, I'm in a lawsuit for non-disclosure. And that's not going to happen. I am not going to not disclose. I mean, as much as we love our sellers, that's not going to happen. So if you have a situation where there's things that you don't want to disclose, we are not your realtors because that isn't something I'm going to do. I'm not going to break the law and not disclose something. So a lot of times people don't understand that they have a legal obligation once they find something out. So, for example, I've had people who have a home under contract. I'm on the buying side, and I say, did your seller update the seller property disclosures outlining everything that was on the summary in that inspection report? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, they need to do that, or you need to share the inspection report, one or the other, so that we can see everything that's going on with that house. And sometimes realtors give pushback. They're like, well, you don't own that report and you don't have any right to it. And it's like, we have a right to disclosure. And once the seller knows something, you must disclose it. So if you're on the selling side, sometimes you may not like what I tell you. And, the thing is I'm there to give you legal guidance. I'm not an attorney, but under Arizona law, I have the right to practice real estate in Arizona. And I take that very seriously. And I need you to disclose as a seller. It's the right thing to do. And it also protects you. And that's something that we very much want to do. So I hope if you have any questions, you can call us. We have people call us. I have people that call me with real estate questions. They're like, hey, this house down the street sold and they're saying it sold for this. I want to see if that's really accurate. Whatever the question. I had somebody call me the other day on fencing. They had a fencing issue. And unfortunately, I've been through most of this stuff in 20 years, right? Whatever your question is, if I can't answer it, I may direct you to an attorney, I may direct you to a surveyor, but I can be resourceful, and that's what we want to do. Apparently, I've got some text messages coming in. Feel free to call either myself or my daughter, Emma. My number is 480-577-8272, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit the thumbs up for likes. That helps us come up in the ratings so that people see our videos. And then if you'd like to receive regular updates, we do 1 to 2 videos a day. If you want to get notified, make sure you click that bell to get notifications. And we look forward to talking to you. All right, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.